Imagine a time in the late 90s, before streaming. That was when I saw this show, Twin Peaks. At the time. Now imagine this. This was a VHS collection about this wide that I later unfortunately sold on eBay. But I saw this. Both seasons. Watched them both in 2 or 3 days. Creating the term now known as binge watching. Hi, I'm Dave Watkins, and I didn't really create binge watching, or maybe I did. Who knows? But after watching Twin Peaks, I began binge watching other shows as well. But I discovered this show, The Kingdom, which is a Danish miniseries. Now, The Kingdom was created by Lars von Trier, and he was co-creator of the avant-garde Dogma 95 style of filmmaking. And he applies some of that to this series, even though he does use some special effects. But he uses it on, as far as the location lighting, it seems to be natural lighting for the most part. He does a lot of handheld camera movement, and he tries to really make the film look shitty on purpose, as far as making it look kind of raw. And he puts a sepia tone over the whole thing, some kind of sepia reddish filter that looks kind of like this right here. See, this is sepia, which looks kind of cool, and you kind of get used to it after a while. It's a nice style. The first series was 4 episodes long. It got 2 episodes on each of the tapes, and ends with a cliffhanger, kind of like Twin Peaks does, but where several of the characters are in danger. Some other aspects of this, you see on the cover here, it says like ER on acid. So it takes place in a hospital, and it is kind of like ER on acid, not really on acid, but it's kind of like a mixture between Twin Peaks and ER. There seems to be more supernatural stuff in it than in Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks gets that way further into it, but there's some pretty cool stuff going on in this. So each episode takes place in about a day, similar to what happens in the earlier episodes of Twin Peaks. And it follows these doctors and some patients at this hospital where some supernatural events are starting to occur. Now, the one thing that I really like about this series is the characters and the way that they are presented. And it's kind of refreshing in a way because of the sensibilities. The character that gets the most screen time and gets top billing is this egotistical Swedish doctor who hates everybody else in the hospital because it's a Danish hospital, but he's there from something that happened at the other hospital. So he doesn't want to be there, and he's a total prick to everybody. And so he's a very larger than life character, and it's sort of the thing you almost have to see. And other characters who are more sympathetic. There's a elder lady who is psychic, who fakes her way into the hospital. She fakes illnesses to get into the hospital to investigate stuff going on. And there is a more likable doctor named Hook. Hook is kind of his. It's a longer Swedish Danish name, but they call him Hook for short, and he's the more likable character at first, as far as the doctors. And there's also the administrator, who's, to me, is hilarious. His name's Mosgard. He's fairly incompetent, and he seems to be very caught up on some kind of new advertising, a morning air slogan that he wants everybody to get on board with, and that seems to be all that he cares about in the first season. So after the first season, I watched it and I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. But later on, I discovered there was a second series which they had shot in 97, and so it was hard to find. I eventually did get a bootleg copy on VHS. I found it on eBay and I got it and watched it as well. That series, it was similar to the first series. They leaned more towards comedy in it, which was fine. I enjoyed it, but it seemed like it needed more. But it had a slightly less cliffhangery end, but it was a bit of a cliffhanger, but not as much. But they weren't able to shoot a third series. In between shooting the second series and when they wanted to do the third series, two of the lead actors had died after that, and the director just didn't, or Lars von Trier didn't really want to go forward with it at the time, and it didn't seem like there was much interest in getting investments for it. So I was very excited to find out that in 2022, Lars von Trier had shot another series, a third series to the Kingdom. And not only that, now there is a Kingdom box set put out by Mubai. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I hope I did. But this is a nice box set, and it's got all three of the series in it, hence the Kingdom Trilogy 3. So let's take a look at it. So there's the back, and it's got, you know, a few pictures here, mostly just Miss Druce, and there she is again. And this is from the new series. It's got Alexander Skarsgård in it briefly as a lawyer. He's in a few episodes. Let's take a look at the disc. So here's the disc for Series 1. That's the Kingdom, the first two discs from the first series. And then there's the ones from the second series. And then the third series, which they call Exodus. Also included with this, there's a little booklet that comes with it with some pictures in it. Most of the pictures in here, with the exception of that one, a lot of the pictures in here are from the newer series, and there's also some postcards that come with it. Let's take a look at these. Maybe get this thing off. So this is a new character. Now this is a replacement for the Stig Helmer character. It was his son in the new series. This is his son who is kind of the main character, other than the replacement for Mrs. Druce. And there's the Alexander Skarsgård scene again, which is a good scene. His dad, Stellan, was in the first series as a lawyer. And this is a character who's in both series. She was Stig Helmer's girlfriend, and she appears in the new one as a supporting character. And this is she was in, this is the older version. She was in all the series, and then yeah. And this is the new Miss Druce, and the new series starts out kind of in a meta way, which they did a good job with it, because what you have a cliffhanger from the old series, and they actually take those plot points and bring it so this character knows the plot points of the series. She's watching it on TV, and then she goes to sleep, and then she wakes up. She's a sleepwalker, and she sleepwalks to the Kingdom Hospital and becomes a patient there. And she has similar stuff. She has similar abilities like Druce does in a way, and she interacts with a lot of the new characters. They do a lot with new characters on the show, but in some way, even though they are newer characters, it does kind of bring all the stuff to a close, and maybe a little bit too much to a close. And ultimately, I'm very excited that Lars von Trier was able to return to this world of the Kingdom Hospital and give the show a proper conclusion. But I do have some reservations about the ending of it, even though I'd rather there be an ending. There's a definitive ending to this thing. I'd rather there be an ending than it to have just ended the way that it ended at the end of season 2. Now, at the end of most of the episodes, Lars von Trier comes on screen and he says something. He says, "Take the good with the evil," which seems to be a theme in the show. You have good. You have like the good character like Druce, and evil, and you have to take some good with evil, is what he's trying to say. But and you have characters like Helmer who in the in the third season, they say that he is neither good nor evil, which I thought was very interesting, and he may have a chance. But this is a spoiler, so don't listen for a minute. So the end of this show, take the good with the evil. Lars von Trier goes completely to evil. He gives the whole thing to evil. They blow the hospital up. And by the way, Willem Dafoe is in the third series as an evil dude, but it's pretty cool. But basically, him and Lars von Trier himself shows up briefly as I think maybe Satan or something like that. But so they're like the only ones that survive. Even like the old lady goes back to her house and her house burns down. So it says, I don't know, it's all evil wins in this, but at least there is an ending. Now, some of you may be more familiar with this show as something called Kingdom Hospital, or Stephen King's Kingdom Hospital, which was, now this is a remake of The Kingdom. Now, Stephen King got the rights to the series, and he was able to, he kind of remade it, but he added some new stuff to it. This is a DVD set. There's not a Blu Ray set or anything past that at this point. But this is a pretty nice box, and it's got 2 discs in here. Andrew McCarthy plays the Hook character, who the character is in this a little bit more than he is in the original series, and he's more of the main character here. And here pictured is Bruce Davison plays the Stick Helmer character. Here he's called Dr. Stegman. So one thing that this series doesn't get as well as the Danish miniseries is the dry humor that's in there. Some of the aspects are there, some of the parts are in there, but they don't translate as funny. The original one is almost an absurdist comedy in some areas, and it doesn't translate to this as well. And maybe it probably wouldn't have played as good here. This one does take it a little straighter for the most part. And Stephen King adds a lot of new stuff to the series. He starts each episode approximately with a new character who is a new character that he created, who ends up in the Kingdom Hospital. It also has some of the same scenes. A lot of the same scenes are in this from the first 4 episodes, but they're kind of divided out among the season. So some scenes that take place in the first episode of the original Kingdom, you may see them in the 5th or 6th episode of this one. One actor I think was very well cast in this is Ed Begley Jr. He plays the airheaded head administrator, and I think that was a genius casting. He's not used as much in this. I think the character was more of a comedic type of character, so you don't see him quite as often in this. But he that's a great casting. This is a little more serious. And also the ghosts aren't as scary. The ghosts are in it more, but they don't seem as scary to me as they do in the other one. It's still worth a watch. Anyway, well, thanks for listening. I am Dave Watkins, and if you would subscribe to my page, if you want to write in the comments section, if you subscribe, just say, hey, I subscribed to your page, and then I'll go back to your page and subscribe to you, and I'll respond to your comment. But if you don't want me to subscribe, go ahead to your page, go ahead and subscribe, and say, hey, I subscribed, but I don't want you to subscribe to my page. You can put that in the comments, and I'll just say, okay, I won't subscribe. So that's that, and I suggest you take a look at this show if you haven't already done it.